What's going on, Colts fans? Welcome to today's episode of Colts Latest. I am your host, Scott Reiman, coming to you from cloudy San Rafael, California, here in the gorgeous San Francisco Bay Area. Before we get started on today's news, as always, huge thanks to FanArch for having me on and allowing me to talk Colts with all of y'all. Please give their website a visit at fanarch.com. They've got great content on not only the NFL, but MLB, NBA, college sports, UFC, boxing, WWE, sports card collecting, and so much more. Great content, so just please go check it out. If you like what you see here, do me a favor, like this video and subscribe to the Colts Latest channel. That's how both FanArch and myself are able to keep doing what we're doing. So thank you to everyone out there. All right, Combine Week is off and running in Indianapolis. The coaches and general managers all met with the media to discuss their plans for the offseason and the upcoming 2026 season. And now it's time for the players to do their thing. Positions are grouped together, and the schedule varies depending upon the position group. There are 4 different groups. The first group is the defensive linemen, linebackers, and kickers. The second group is the defensive backs and the tight ends. Third group is quarterbacks, running backs, and wide receivers. And the final group is offensive linemen. The first group to get underway with on-field workouts will be the group that the Colts are probably the most interested in, and that's the defensive line, linebacker, kicker group. Now, the Colts are probably set at kicker, with most likely Spencer Schrader or possibly Blake Grupe returning for 2026, but they're widely expected to take advantage of a deep defensive line linebacker group with multiple draft picks, so these workouts will be worth watching. Now, earlier in the week, this group had their pre-exam, orientation, and team interviews on Monday, followed by their general medical exam, pre-ordered studies, and more team interviews on Tuesday. Yesterday, they had their ortho exam, media interviews, NFL meeting, and they wrapped up their team interviews. Today is where it gets exciting, with measurements and on-field workouts. Now, some of these workouts include 40-yard dash, 3-cone drill, shuttle run, vertical jump, and broad jump. And players can participate in whichever of these tests they choose, and they're not required to compete in ones that they don't want to. Tomorrow, the defensive line linebacker group will finish their combine by doing their bench press test, where they see how many reps they can do at 225 pounds. Defensive tackle Justin Ernest set the record for this in 1999 with an incredible 51 reps. All the other position groups follow a similar schedule, they're just pushed back one day. So the DB tight end group will do on-field workouts on Friday, the QB running back wide receiver group will do their workouts on Saturday, and the offensive line group will do theirs on Sunday. Now, although the Colts will be focused on the first group, there will almost definitely be multiple players in each group that the Colts brass will have their eyes on. We'll see how players who have been linked to the Colts perform and how it affects their projected draft range. Maybe some guys who were thought to be first-round picks will fall to the Colts in the second round. Maybe some guys who were thought to be day 3 picks will have great combines and will now be in play in rounds 2 and 3. While we keep our eye on the combine and the franchise tag situation, which is ever evolving, and we wait for the league year and free agency to start on March 11th, there will continue to be rumors and rumblings about players the Colts might add during free agency or target in the draft. One such name that was linked to the Colts today, and is one that fans are already familiar with, is quarterback Gardner Minshew. ESPN NFL analyst Seth Walder wrote in an article today where he predicted the Week 1 starting quarterback for every NFL team. And he broke these teams up into 4 categories. Teams looking for someone new, teams who have a decent bet as to who will be their quarterback next year, locked-in quarterbacks, and then the category that the Colts fit into, those with early season injury stand-ins. Now, only the Colts and the Chiefs fell into this category, and while Walder predicted that Marcus Mariota, a name that we've connected to the Colts a little bit before, would be the Chiefs' Week 1 starter while Patrick Mahomes continues to recover from his knee surgery, he predicted that former Colt Gardner Minshew would return to the team. On adding Minshew, Walder wrote, quote, I suspect the team wants to bring Jones back, but would likely prefer to sign him to a multi-year deal, considering he's unlikely to play until late 2026 at the earliest, which, from all reports, is a very conservative estimate there. He goes on, but the Colts have some leverage. As much as they might need Jones, they also offer him a better path to starting again in a situation where he's had more success than anywhere else. Indianapolis would probably offer him more money than anyone else due to that success. But if the Colts bring Jones back, they'll need another quarterback to start the season. And they would want it to be someone they can win with in the short and medium term, but probably not someone who would cost too much or whom they would have to commit to beyond 2026. Enter Minshew. The journeyman had more success playing for Shane Steichen in 2023 than any other point in his career. Steichen got much more out of Minshew, who recorded a 60.4 QBR that season, than he has out of Joe Flacco, who recorded a 50.0 QBR, or Anthony Richardson, who's recorded a 44.4 QBR. That 2023 earned Minshew $15 million fully guaranteed from the Raiders the next offseason, but it went so badly in Vegas that he played for the Chiefs for just $1.2 million last season. And it was feared that Minshew tore his ACL in December, but he did not. Because Minshew's star has fallen, he would be a cheap option for the Colts to pair with second-year quarterback Riley Leonard while they wait for Jones to heal, end quote. Now, one thing we notice with that quote there is he looks like he's expecting Anthony Richardson to be gone. He doesn't even mention Anthony Richardson as a competition, as in competition with Leonard or with Minshew. And as I've said, I only expect the Colts to add a quarterback should Anthony Richardson move on. Now, on the surface, this move actually makes a lot of sense. Minshew has a familiarity with Steichen, and he's had success in his system. The weapons around him have all developed since he last played with the Colts, and they've added Tyler Warren as well. Now, he's probably going to be more amenable to this sort of role of an early season starter and then a backup than other guys we've mentioned, such as Kirk Cousins or Tua Tagovailoa. And to my surprise, Minshew's only 29 years old. The way the guy's been around and has started for multiple teams, I would swear he was in his mid-30s. Adding to all that, the fact that the Colts would be able to get him super cheap, I think this idea actually has some legs. And like I just mentioned, as with all potential QB additions, this is predicated upon the Colts moving on from Anthony Richardson, something they sounded ambiguous about during their time with the media this week. I say let's get Daniel Jones signed before we worry about anything else involving the quarterback position, but it will be interesting to see what this quarterback room looks like next year, and I'm sure Minshew won't be the last guy who was brought up as a potential replacement for Anthony Richardson should he move on. Okay, moving on to the draft. With Braden Smith likely moving on, the Colts are going to be looking to add some offensive line depth, either through the draft or free agency. I covered a few guys a couple weeks back who the Colts might target in the mid to late rounds, but a new name has surfaced thanks to the Colts scheduling a formal interview at the Combine, and that is Memphis offensive tackle Travis Burke. According to Sports Illustrated's Justin Mello, the Colts, along with the Chargers, Cardinals, and Jaguars, have scheduled an interview with the 6'9", 315-pound redshirt senior. Yes, 6'9". Can you imagine having this guy as well as 6'8", 340-pound Jalen Travis on the line? Now, neither have taken any snaps at guard as far as I know, and currently Matt Gonzalez is the incumbent at the right guard position. But the idea of having two 6'8 plus 315-pound plus linemen paving the way for Jonathan Taylor sounds like a dream come true. Burke is very experienced, having played nearly 3,000 snaps on offense over 5 college seasons. This last season was his best, where he allowed only 3 sacks and 13 quarterback pressures over 429 pass-blocking snaps. He was also one of Pro Football Focus's higher-graded run-blocking offensive tackles. In addition, he has experience playing both left tackle and right tackle, giving the Colts flexibility and depth on both sides of the line. Shane Steichen talked about how the offensive line needed to get back to opening the kinds of holes that allowed Jonathan Taylor to get those explosive runs that he's so famous for, and adding this kind of size to the offensive line might be just the ticket. Despite his size and experience, he's currently projected as a 7th-round pick or undrafted free agent. And with 2 probable 7th-round picks, at least, Chris Ballard said they do like to move down and acquire more picks, the Colts may look Burke's direction with one of those late picks. Okay, moving on. Pro Football Focus released their latest 3-round mock draft earlier this week. And while a player I've discussed before, defensive tackle Dominique Orange, also known as Big Citrus, love that nickname, was their pick for the Colts in the 3rd round, a new name was brought up as their pick in the 2nd round, and that's Missouri linebacker Josiah Trotter. The son of former All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame Jeremiah Trotter, Josiah is looking to follow in his father's footsteps and carve out a lengthy and accolade-filled NFL career. His brother, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., is a linebacker with those same Eagles, so who knows, maybe they'll want to keep it in the family and they'll select Josiah as well, but I don't think linebacker is a position the Eagles are going to target early in the draft. Josiah, a redshirt sophomore, doesn't turn 21 until April 15th. And he said at his combine interview that while he feels mature for his age thanks to the help from his father and brother, his youth shows that his best football is still ahead of him and he has lots of room to grow. He's 6'2", 237 pounds, and we'll know a lot more about his athletic ability after watching his performance during the on-field combine drills this week. He has an NFL.com prospect grade of 6.35, which puts him in the category of will eventually be a plus starter. And I think that's the floor you hope for from a 2nd-round pick. NFL analyst Lance Zierlein says of Trotter, quote, "He's an ascending inside linebacker with NFL bloodlines and alpha energy. Trotter's heavy hands allow him to fit and choke off gaps, but he's inconsistent in doing so. Block collisions need to be balanced with efficient play arounds to create more tackle tries. Pursuit speed to the flanks is average, but he is quick to cut and accelerate, so he stays close to runs bouncing wide. He stacks backfield production with well-timed run blitzes and crafty rush work. Coverage is the concern with spotty zone awareness and spacing and the risk of being mismatched in man coverage. Trotter's wiring and disruptive qualities make him easy to project as a productive, long-time starter in the middle, but a defense might need to protect him in coverage." So just going off of that, some of his strengths are getting off of blocks, timing run blitzes well. He's got a bag full of pass rush tricks. He gets to the QB quickly, and he gets low to finish tackles. Unfortunately, some of his weaknesses are things the Colts can't afford, such as below-average zone exchanges and coverage, inability to solidly cover running backs and tight ends, inconsistent positioning, and a high-cut frame with an unorthodox build, although one NFC scout said, quote, "He moves way better than most high-cut linebackers. He's crafty for being a 2-year player, but he had a dad that played, so that makes sense," end quote. Now, on that last point, I do love players who come from a family football background. A lot of times they play the game the right way, they have a passion for the game, and because they grew up around it, their football IQ is often very high. The coverage issues do worry me a little bit because with Sauce Gardner and hopefully Mooney Ward locking down the outside, teams are going to try to attack the Colts over the middle of the field, and they're going to need linebackers who can cover. Being only 20 years old, hopefully, means that Trotter is still relatively raw, and hopefully he can continue to improve in the areas where he needs it most. He's definitely going to be a name to watch as his position group begins their on-field workouts today. Okay, that's going to do it for today. Enjoy the combine. There's going to be lots of coverage, so go on there, check out those on-field workouts, look at some of the names we've been talking about, and see how they perform. We'll go over some of the results from today's on-field workouts in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, make sure you check out fanarch.com and all of their amazing content. Please like this video and subscribe to the Colts Latest channel, and let's go Colts!